he was going to continue to pay for everything. He was going to pay for another whole apartment. But because you couldn't get what you wanted, you were going to throw a tantrum like a little bratty child. What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's your girl JD here, back with another video. So we have a new setup that we're working with today, and I'm probably going to continue using this instead of the other setup because I like the sound quality here better with my mic instead of trying to use the mic on my camera. So you guys won't have to hear a bunch of sirens and noise in the background anymore, because I try to do my best to edit it out, but you could still hear it here and there, and I just hate it so much. So we're just gonna be working with this setup from now on. Today we're gonna be talking about Gino and Jasmine. Yeah, it's about time I do a video dedicated to them and their drama. I have occasionally been talking about it here and there throughout the 90 Day Fiance recap videos. Of course, you guys could check out the most recent one that I have posted here, but I just feel as though they are just so mismatched, and terribly so. But we're gonna go into, of course, the reasons as to why I think that, and they're kind of obvious, but we're just still gonna dive into it, okay? Gino, I believe, met Jasmine online. I think he was actually in the middle of kind of going back and forth between like call girls and sending them money and all this stuff, but that's the alleged thing, okay? That's what Jasmine has said a few times. But yeah, he met Jasmine, and Jasmine is from Panama, and Gino, where the heck is Gino from? Obviously somewhere in America because it's 90 Day Fiance, but I can't remember which state. But anyways, regardless, they meet, and the first time that Gino and Jasmine meet, it's already a hurricane of emotions. I think the most memorable thing that I remember from their first season that they did together was when Jasmine was getting mad at Gino because apparently Gino had actually been married before, but it was to a woman from, was it Ecuador? It was another Spanish-speaking country, but I can't remember if it was like South America, Central, I don't remember. But either way, it was another woman that he was married to before meeting Jasmine, and obviously they're divorced now, but Jasmine clearly still feels very insecure about this relationship, and it keeps popping up. Even in this most recent season of 90 Day Fiance, this time it's before the 90 days though, but it's like even in this most recent season, it's still coming up as a topic of discussion and something that clearly makes Jasmine feel a ways, and it's so strange. But either way, they've been constantly getting in arguments about really dumb things, and in that first season that I saw them in, Jasmine particularly was getting very heated and angry about Gino still having his house be the same way it was decorated when he had his ex-wife living in there with him. And I'm just like, I mean, it was a whole ex-wife. She lived with him. I don't know why this is a problem. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what? Where did you want her to go? Did you want her to not decorate the house? But at the same time, it's like, why would he also throw away decorations? Why would he, you know, like, it just doesn't make sense. But at the time of him visiting Jasmine the first time, he actually wasn't working. I think he was out of the job. I believe this was during the pandemic. He was not working, and Jasmine was asking for so many things. She was asking for him to give her money to buy things, to give her money for them to go on a romantic trip, and he does end up giving in to that because they go on a trip together. But that trip was a trip from hell, because at some point Jasmine finds out that Gino was sending nude pictures of her to his ex-wife. Why Gino was doing that, I still to this day do not understand. He tried to obviously explain himself, and he said sorry profusely, okay? He was very much so apologetic, but at the same time, you could tell he wasn't fully understanding that was a huge invasion of privacy. And we find out in this before the 90 days at the beginning that because of that, she lost her job. Jasmine lost her job, and she now wasn't able to make money, at least the way that she was as a teacher. And it was just really sad, obviously, because she didn't deserve that and she didn't ask for that. So obviously now Gino has to be the one that is constantly sending her money because he now has a job again, thank God, and he's sending her money because she can't work. Now it seems as though she is kind of abusing this a little bit, because you could clearly see that she is doing the most with regards to the apartment that she's staying in. She wants him to buy her a ring, and at the same time he's also trying to pay for the visa, apparently that's been taking a little bit longer than he thought at first. But I kind of give that a little bit of a side eye when it comes to that situation, because Gino could have very well said to Jasmine that he had applied for the visa and decided to do it all by himself, the application process, and not have a lawyer help him. But at the same time, he could have very well said that he was doing all of that but didn't actually do any of it, and he was waiting for this trip, the second trip to Panama, to see Jasmine, to see how their relationship was, the state of their relationship, and then he was going to make a decision on that if he was going to apply for the visa or not. So that is just my theory, okay, that he might be lying and he might not have even applied for this visa for Jasmine and just has her thinking that it's processing, but it's just taking a lot longer than he thought. So y'all let me know how y'all feel about that situation. But this whole before the 90 days couple of episodes that I've been seeing of them two together has been horrific. From the moment that Gino lands, you know, obviously they make out in the airport, they seemingly suck each other's faces off, and Jasmine's lipstick is everywhere. But besides that, that seems to be the only romantic thing that happens. Jasmine keeps bringing up the fact that Gino never actually wants to have any like sexual intimacy with her. He never wants to do anything with her in that nature. And obviously you could tell he's very uncomfortable with talking about sex, period. But Jasmine seems to be a very open person. In one episode, she was talking about getting plugs for down there in the back, okay, the back door. She was talking about getting plugs for herself so that they can do the do. It's just kind of like, wait, what is happening, Jasmine? And in the very first episode, you could also see Jasmine trying to get her down there, her lady parts, rejuvenated for when Gino came. And I was just like, girl, for what? Even the doctor was looking at her like, why do you need this? She was feeling insecure, clearly, but they have really dumb fights. The first fight they have was when Gino was supposed to be helping Jasmine cut up some beets or something. And Gino was like, you don't have the proper tools. I don't want to do it if you don't have the proper tools. And he storms off. And then he speaks to the camera and he's just like, yeah, you know, I feel as though Jasmine just takes advantage of me and tries to bulldoze over me, and not anymore. And it's just like, Gino, she just wanted you to help her with dinner. It really wasn't that deep. So it was really dumb. And then they have another fight. Like, honestly, every other episode, it's another fight after another fight after another fight. But there was another issue with regards to Gino buying a ring for Jasmine. Apparently, Jasmine lost the ring that Gino had originally proposed with, because for some strange reason, even after Gino had showed her nude pictures to his ex-wife, she still managed to say yes. How he salvaged that relationship is beyond my understanding. But she managed to say yes. And he gave her a ring, but you could definitely tell, based on her bougie standards, she was not a fan. She wanted a different ring, but he still had yet to update it. So she says that she lost it, so to speak. And now she's trying to make it a point to get Gino to buy her another one while he's there. And it's just like, girl, for what? Like, just wait. Obviously, at some point, you guys are going to hopefully get married. Well, actually, I wouldn't even say I hope that they get married. But for Jasmine, she's hoping that they get married at some point. But the thing is, with Jasmine, she never wants to listen. And that obviously comes into play when Gino tries to talk about her signing a prenup before they get married. Because she has been definitely showing some tendencies of possibly being a potential gold digger. Okay, let's be real. Even though I don't understand, if you were a gold digger, why you would want to be with someone that doesn't even have a job. That part wouldn't really make sense if we're going with the whole gold digger scenario. But the thing is, ever since Gino has gotten a job, she feels as though she should be able to get whatever she wants all the time. And because of that, obviously Gino's kind of like, what is going on? Why are you acting the way that you are? That becomes an issue. And he's just like, okay, let's just talk about this. Let's talk it through like normal people. I'm going to make some clauses in the prenup so that you can be protected, right? And so that you don't have to walk away with nothing, because that's what she was the most scared of. And she keeps repeating during this conversation, like, if you make me sign a prenup, I'm not going to marry you. right? And she's saying this with like so much emotion, like she's crying, she's shouting at Gino. And it just is a conversation that just goes left from the very beginning, okay? And Gino's trying to show her this little piece of paper that basically says like, okay, if in the case of me cheating, you know, you try to file for divorce, you are able to get some money from me, right? But the thing is, you know, there were some other things on the paper, but Jasmine wasn't really hearing any of it. Let's be real. Obviously, that conversation goes nowhere, okay? But Gino comes back and he's like, you know what, Jasmine, we don't really need the prenup. I kind of believe you're here for the right reasons, so I'm just gonna chuck the prenup. It's okay. So Jasmine gets what she wants, but she looks as though she was going to actually yield and agree to the prenup, but Gino spoke first. So she just kind of let him talk and was like, okay, yeah, I agree. No prenup. After this is when they have the biggest fight I have seen between them two to date, okay? And this is the first time I've actually seen Gino kind of push back. Like he actually had something to say. He didn't just sit there and, you know, take it. So Jasmine comes up in this most recent episode. She comes up to Gino and she's just like, hey, considering that you're leaving and I'm gonna be alone again and I don't want to move again, like, could you make it a point to tell me, like, for sure that you're going to be able to continue to pay for this apartment until I could get my visa and come to the States? And you could clearly see that Gino's like, oh, hell no, that is not a possibility. We're gonna need to find something cheaper because this is ridiculous. This rent payment is way too high for me to keep up with. Jasmine, in her little interview that they do here and there throughout the episodes, she says that because Gino has a job that's well paying, he has money, he should be able to afford this. In fact, she knows that he can afford this. And I'm like, even if he can afford it, it doesn't mean that he should, okay? There's a lesson in life that says, even if you can, it doesn't always mean that you should, okay? Jasmine, I think, doesn't really think all of this through with regards to finances and everything, like savings. Actually saving money seems to be a foreign concept to her. And I just think that if her and Gino ever, okay, because after this fight, I don't think there's even a chance in hell, but if they ever happen to make it down the aisle, I don't think she's taking into consideration how much a wedding is going to cost, how much she's going to need to actually stay afloat because she's not going to be able to work in the US, you know, at least right after she gets there. She's going to have to wait a little while. She's not taking into consideration all of these things. So obviously he's trying to talk to her about possibly finding another apartment that's a little cheaper. And she is not bending. She is not having it. She's just like, no, because you haven't given me anything else that I've asked for. So you should at least be able to give me this. Give me this apartment so I don't have to move because I'm tired of moving. I'm done with it. So because of all of this, obviously emotions start escalating and Gino slips into his quiet mode for a little while. Then Jasmine decides to start yanking his clothes off the closet rack. She just starts throwing it on the floor and she's just like, you know what? Get out. Get out. And this is not the first time she asked him to get out the apartment that he's paying for, mind you. Wild. But she's throwing all his clothes and he's just like, no. And at some point something snaps in Gino and he just yanks the clothes and stops her before she could continue to keep throwing the clothes off. There's some back and forth, some insults, and then she just goes into the bathroom, slams the door, and then she throws his toothbrush out. And I'm like, what is happening? They zoom in on the toothbrush and it's the funniest thing ever. But yeah, it was just really so bizarre that this whole fight went down just because he said, I want to find a cheaper apartment to pay for you. Not even asking her to try and contribute, but he was going to continue to pay for everything. He was going to pay for another whole apartment. But because you couldn't get what you wanted, you were going to throw a tantrum like a little bratty child. Oh, child. But it doesn't end there. Nay, it does not end there. Eventually, they have their little sit-down interview. I don't know how it escalated to this point, but they start yelling at each other and bickering. Oh, I remember now. It was because Jasmine was feeling insecure about Gino's family when she would actually go over to the States, because during one of these episodes, she ended up having a conversation with one of Gino's family members. I think it was like a cousin or something. And she was basically trying to approach him about what he said online about him asking Jasmine, like, if she actually really loved Gino or was it just about money? Like, did she actually love Gino? Like, really? So she took offense to that, and finally they have a conversation about it. But instead of actually not acting childish, she says something along the lines of, well, I don't have to prove anything to anyone except for Gino. So basically saying that his opinion is not important, what he thinks of her is not important, she could care less. And it just kind of came across to me that she doesn't care about his family. If I'm going to be real, she probably had a couple run-ins with his family members that she didn't really care for or didn't like, and ever since then she just had a negative view of his family in her mind. And during this fight on this latest episode, she said to Gino that she feels as though she should be the most important thing in his life. And I'm like, how delusional is that to think that his family shouldn't be important to him? You know what I'm saying? It's just really bizarre. And even Gino finally steps up and he's just like, my family is going to remain important to me, and so will you. And she's just like, no, I want to make sure that I'm the most important thing. I should be like top tier, right at the tippy top. Like, I don't want to be below anybody. I don't want to be on the same level. I want to be above them. I need to know that you care about me more than anybody else, more than any of your family members. And I want you to say that and declare that right now. And Gino just looking at her like, no, what are you talking about? And I think that's just so crazy to even ask of somebody. That ensues a whole new argument. And clearly you could see that it goes left more so in Jasmine's mind, because Gino is like, okay, maybe we just need to take a break. I'll walk away. But Jasmine starts saying that she basically wants her ex-boyfriend back. And she's said this before. She has said this before, saying that her ex-boyfriend does it better in bed than Gino does. And I was like, why do you keep doing this? Why do you keep saying things that you know you don't mean? It's just really annoying. And obviously that brings out the worst in Gino that I've seen. And Jasmine continues to yell, and at some point or another, she pretty much insinuates that she cheated on this man. Yeah, she basically says, like, I cheated. I'm trying to figure out what is happening right now. Okay, so it obviously, if that does prove true, I wouldn't really look at it twice. I kind of believe it the first time. But the thing is, I think that Jasmine has the most issues between her and Gino. Even though I think Gino is hella weird and awkward and strange, I think he's actually a good guy. He does things that are really stupid, like obviously showing Jasmine's nude pictures to his ex-wife and causing her to lose her job. That was really, really dumb, okay? And he knows that was really, really dumb, and he's trying to make up for it. But ever since then, I haven't really seen Gino do anything that necessarily warrants, you know, him being labeled as a bad guy. I'm just going to be honest. Like, y'all, let me know, let me know. But I haven't really seen any evidence to prove that he's just a crappy dude. You know what I mean? But I just think that Jasmine, oh Lord, I don't know how the heck Gino is gonna make it with this hurricane. But you could tell they have such a toxic relationship that they're probably gonna just never be done with each other. They're always gonna keep going back and forth, kind of like Ed and Liz. Okay, they will never get rid of each other, ever. But y'all let me know what y'all think about Gino and Jasmine, your thoughts on them in these last couple of episodes of Before the 90 Days in particular, or just overall just them as a couple that you've seen ever since they came onto the 90 Day Fiance franchise. But it's just been one dramatic scene after the next. But y'all let me know your thoughts down in the comments. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.